Fair use disclaimer. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under Title 17 U.S. Code Section 107.
And of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time.
The biblical verse in Revelation chapter 12 that specifically points out, he knoweth that he hath but a short time, is the first thing that I thought of when I saw Charles just very worried about starting his coronation on time and being on time. It's as if he knew that this needed to get done during a certain window of opportunity. He didn't want to be late.
And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea! For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and a half a time, from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth, and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God, and have the testimony of Jesus Christ.
The coronation of King Charles III took place on May 6, 2023. Looking back on some of the clips that the media took that day, one clip in particular I did take a look at and think it was strange was that they said that he left earlier than the rest of his family. So him and Camilla, their horse and carriage, headed to the location of where the coronation was going to be held earlier than Prince William and Catherine and their kids. And they were stating that William, Catherine, and the kids, their vehicles had to kind of rush a little bit to catch up, because it just seemed like Charles was in a hurry to get this done. So some people may think on a very shallow level that, oh, well, he just wants to be on time. He doesn't want to be late. But the thing is, I mean, this was his day. I understand that he didn't want to start late, but he seemed very frustrated, very anxious, very worried, as if he only had a certain window of time to perform this ritual before it was not within the right time frame. It's also not lost on me that this coronation took place the same day of the May 5th going into May 6th lunar eclipse. And we know that lunar eclipse and solar eclipse mark the beginning and the ending of things that are happening on the biblical timeline. Things that happen on these days, and they mark a significance of prophecy, biblical prophecy of a starting point and an ending point. I also thought of a lot of times in fairy tales and sometimes the Disney movies, dealing with a prince, princess, a kingdom, magical spells, things like that. There's always a appointed time, like by the stroke of midnight or before the sun sets on the sixth day, you must do this or this has to happen. It just seemed like there was something going on with that lunar eclipse, his coordination, him worried about it getting started at a certain time. Um, all of this was just Blues Clues and alarm bells going off in my mind just viewing this. Listen to the drum beats that are about to begin. It sounds like some type of tribal drum beats before a ritual or a seance or some type of satanic ceremony is about to start.
Witness as much as is possible the most personal and private moment in this coronation, and the only private moment that King Charles will have as he readies to receive the anointing with oil. These special screens which have been created for this moment will give him that measure of privacy between him and Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, where he will anoint his head and face and chest with oil. And the oil is steeped in symbolism. It comes from 2 groves on the Mount of Olives in the Holy Land, a grove of trees that legend has it were alive even in Jesus's time. And this is a religious moment, Wilfred, that will be quite meaningful. At Queen Elizabeth's coronation, it also was private.
It was under a canopy then, it's behind a screen now, and this is probably the most meaningful part of the day. It dates back to the 7th century. It fulfills the twofold purpose of increasing the influence of the church and also stabilizing disputes over succession.
I noticed a little bit of the imagery that was on the silk screens. They had a tree which kind of looked like, I thought of the tree of life in the Garden of Eden. They had the angels with the trumpets. Everything all of this was very much giving Antichrist. Even though I know that King Charles, well, I don't think that King Charles is the Antichrist, because the Antichrist is more than just one man. It's a whole system of things that are happening, have happened, and are currently happening. But definitely his coordination contributes in a major way to the culmination of everything that the Antichrist spirit has been working its way up to for centuries now. And there's a lot about this coronation that was putting King Charles on par with the Messiah. His anointing, him sitting on a throne, being crowned, those angel trumpets on the screen. It's just, they're just trying to make it seem that he is on the level of the Messiah. Part of his coronation took place behind these screens that they put up. Now, I know that there's always two ways to look at things, on a lower vibrational level and then a higher vibrational level. And I know on the lower vibrational end of looking at this, you could just say, oh, this was just a very private moment. He wanted it to be special and private, so he did it behind the screens, and we should respect that. But the thing is, this whole coronation is televised. They didn't have to televise it, but they did. So if it was so private and respect his privacy kind of thing, then none of it had to be put on TV. But it was. I just thought it was just very strange that he decided to do this behind a screen. So there's certain things that they did not want seen by the whole world and on a recording for people to analyze. So to me, there's more in the spiritual realm that was going on here than what meets the eye. And a lot of times the best way to hide things is in plain sight. I think that those screens were put up. There were certain words and incantation and chants and things that were done in that moment to help usher in something, his anointing, quote unquote, during an appointed time. That was what they were doing to him. Whatever spirits or chants or whatever happened during that time, it was something that was out of view for us to see. Antichrist's means to replace, trying to replace the Messiah. This whole ceremony and ritual that they did looks like it was they were trying to mimic the Messiah being crowned over a kingdom.
So powerful, so recognizable. That private moment experienced by the king, his royal vestments off for the moment, a moment between him and God. And now the ceremony continues.
And to top that off with them doing some type of ritual behind those screens, then later we see some type of figure who people have been saying it looks like the Grimm Reaper was in the Abbey that day.
King Charles and Queen Camilla's coronation may be over, but there's one moment from the ceremony that caught people's attention. Onlookers are convinced they spotted the Grim Reaper at Westminster Abbey as guests started arriving to the historic event. In the video, a hooded figure in all black can be seen walking across the aisle holding a long stick. The quick moment had royal fans talking on Twitter, with one user writing, "Anyone else just noticed the Grim Reaper at Westminster Abbey?" with another tweeting, "Why is the Grim Reaper at the coronation celebrations?" Despite a possible sighting from the Angel of Death himself, King Charles's coronation went off without a hitch.
And finally, the Stone of Destiny is a stolen stone block that they had placed underneath the seat of the throne. Genesis 28, verse 18 through 22 makes reference to the Stone of Destiny. It's also called Jacob's Pillow or the Stone of Bethel. The Stone of Bethel. Early the next morning, Jacob took the stone that he had placed under his head, and he set it up as a pillar. He poured oil on top of it, and he called that place Bethel, though previously the city had been named Luz. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, "If God will be with me and watch over me on this journey, and if he will provide me with food to eat and clothes to wear, so that I may return safely to my father's house, then the Lord will be my God, and this stone I have set up as a pillar will be God's house. and of all that you give me, I will surely give you a tenth. So it's obvious that this stone belonged to Jacob, and his descendants are the tribes of Israel or Yasharal. This belongs in their bloodline. There was a magical covenant that was spoken and a blessed spirit attached to this stone. A covenant to bless those who reign, who have the stone in their possession and are reigning, to be provided for as long as they have the stone. So that's why it was stolen, and that's why it's very important that they're keeping it a part of their tradition for as long as they can. But all of this is about to come to a close and a conclusion soon. Stay tuned. The way that they try to tell the story is that it was a stone that they stole from Scotland. But once you're doing research and you're understanding things from a biblical perspective, you understand that their history is written with a bunch of lies. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on this because I want to do a little bit more research. But from what I can see, that stone was stolen from the true chosen people of the Bible. It's not who majority of the world thinks that it is. The true chosen people were inhabiting various regions of the lands before they were enslaved. When you think of this stone being stolen from Scotland, you may have a certain type of people in your mind that you're envisioning. But the true chosen people were everywhere before they were enslaved, including Scotland. And the stone does belong in their history because they used to reign and rule various territories on the earth prior to the 1500s. And that stone was taken from them, and it has been used in this family's current reign on the earth that's coming to a near close. So with that, I'll go ahead and close there. I just wanted to shed some light on a few things that stood out to me during this coordination. And as I discover more, when I re-look back over this, I'll come back and add to it. Thank you so much to the Most High Yahuwah for giving me the spiritual eye and wisdom to spot these things and to be able to share what I have found and have learned. Until next time, goodbye for now. Shalom.